Welcome to Childhood Trash, a dumpster dive into our childhood nostalgia where we re-examine some of the most influential media from our youth and ask the question, tragic or nostalgic? I'm your host, Pia LaPlaca, joined by my co-host,
Maggie Keating.
Hey Maggie, how are you?
I'm really excited today, Pia.
I am so excited because today we will be interviewing Julie Sherman Wolfe.
This is a big deal for us.
This is such a big deal. She has played such an important role in creating some of our favorite childhood shows and movies. You might have heard of a few. She's written for Phil of the Future, Jonas, Third Rock from the Sun, and so many other things, but obviously most notably,
Avalon High. And we're really excited to talk to her today. We're really excited to hear from her and get to share that interview with you guys. Yep. So without further ado,
yay!
Listen to the interview. All right. We're really excited to talk to her today.
Yeah.
So I hope I can remember all this.
We recently recapped that one a couple months ago, and we were so shocked
that you responded. We were so excited.
Yeah.
You know, it actually works out. Sometimes I just I get a lot of messages, but I don't know. I just saw your guys's and thought, it's kind of weird to me that I know the age range of people who watched Avalon High and were super into it. And now that the fact that you're all kind of in college makes me feel it's cool, but also I feel old. But those are the two things.
Oh my God.
At the same time. But it's just funny because I did so much of the Disney children's TV world, and now I'm sort of out of that world and doing other stuff. It just it's kind of fun to sort of dive back in and talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, we're so excited. Well, we wanted to start off with kind of your origin story, how you got started with writing, if you always knew you wanted to be the screenwriter icon that you are.
Oh my God. Actually, this is a not bad story because it happened right. I don't know what year you guys are in.
And I'm a freshman.
Okay. I was always a writer. I was always a writer, but this is God, I'm aging myself again. This is pre kind of internet, the way we all know the internet. So there wasn't a lot of access to this world. You would never just be able to learn about how to become anything just by going online. It was way more labor intensive. So I just found out, I never thought about writing for TV or film, even though I loved it all. I just never thought that was something that I could do. It just never occurred to me. I'm from San Francisco. I went to school in San Diego and was a communications major, and I was just a writer, and I was going to actually be a sports writer, a sports journalist. And but then at the same time I was doing stand-up comedy and improv and all that kind of stuff. So what happened was I graduated from college and I got a job as a copywriter, which was great, and I really liked it, in an advertising agency. And it was kind of a layoff times in the 90s, and I got laid off because I was the last one hired, first fired. That's how they do it. So I got laid off, and on the exact same day I got dumped by my college boyfriend. So I'm 20, I think I was 24 years old or so. And those two things happened, but I was supposed to go do stand-up that night. And I was thinking do I really want to deal with, going on at 11:30 at night, which is when I would go on and do all that. And I'm fine, I'll just go. So I went down there and I kind of wrote a whole new set sort of based on what had happened that day. And then afterwards, this guy came up to me and he's like, wait, so you're a chick? You're a chick and you're a writer and you're really funny. Why aren't you in LA writing sitcoms? And it was just that moment of total yeah, that's probably exactly what I should be doing. I just had that moment of total epiphany. And I basically just I waited tables for 6 months, just saving up, moved to LA, lived right off Sunset Boulevard, where my neighbors were drug dealers and the Russian mafia and hookers. I didn't have to be a hooker. I was a waiter again. And then I just kind of figured out through bulletin boards. This is how long ago you had to fax your resume and have a pager. And there's these bulletin boards, which is basically Reddit, but not as well done. It was just it's just very rudimentary. And I found out that there's a job called writer's assistant. So I sent my resume all over town, and because I was an editor of the college newspaper, I had kind of copy editing experience. And that's all a writer's assistant really is that you're in there and you're typing scripts. At that time, a lot of the writers' rooms, though, didn't have the computers in the room, and everything was handwritten. So you're literally just handwriting people's notes all day long and then trying to type it into the script later. It sucked. So I got 2 interviews. One was for Frasier, which it was, and then, but they wanted like a secretary, with a, her with a beehive haircut and glasses and could do shorthand. Like they wanted a secretary. And then I got, what was that first show? Oh, Dweebs. It never even aired. It didn't even make the air, but that's the show I ended up on. And that just sort of like got me in the door, and I started making connections, and I made friends with like a junior agent, and she's still my agent. So it's been like 25 years. So she's now an actual agent at a big agency, and we kind of just went our way together. But then that's kind of how it started. So I did the sitcom thing, and then, like you said, like Third Rock, but then I started kind of getting into that Disney Channel tween genre, which I really enjoyed doing. And then when there was the strike happened in 2007, I started writing romantic comedy, which is my other favorite thing. And that kind of blew up and became what I'm actually doing now. And I've sort of been doing that since, like, pretty much consistently since, I don't know, 2013 or so. So that's where I'm at now. But
yeah, that's super cool.
That's it. That's the story. So basically, like, I always tell people, like, the worst day you could think, like, is the worst day of my whole life is that I got fired, laid off and dumped, ended up being like the thing that changed my whole life, because I didn't have anything keeping me in San Diego, really. If I'd still had a boyfriend and I was being stupid, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to stay for my boyfriend. But I didn't, because he's gone. And, same with the job. So sometimes those things free you to go do whatever you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, both Pia and we're both creative writing majors, so
all right,
it's pretty cool to hear that.
Yeah, so just I mean, you just never know what that thing is that's gonna be the thing that turns you on the right path. That's always my big lesson I tell people when they ask me.
Yeah, we're also wondering how you got involved with Avalon High specifically. Like, how were you approached, and what was the process like in adapting Meg Cabot's novel and working with a co-writer?
So I didn't work with a co-writer. It was really, that's a little secret in LA, where it depends on the writing credit. So I rewrote, the first writer had been hired to adapt the book. And sometimes if it just doesn't work out the way that they want, that the network wants it, they'll hire somebody to do a rewrite. So I actually was the rewriter of the first one. Nothing against Amy, but
oh wow,
that's just how that works. So I mean, it was really just I really wrote that script.
Oh my god, that's so interesting.
It's like blowing.
We share credit, but you share credit because it says, like, if there's an ampersand next between two writers, that means they wrote it together. And if it says and, the word and, it means that there was a separation there. Because I'm actually doing I'm doing a rewrite right now. Normally you would share credit 50-50. In the case with with Avalon High, that's what we did. Mainly because, like, a major story point that was changed from the book to the movie is something Disney wanted to do at the end, and that was in the first script, and then that was in mine too, because that's what they wanted.
Yes.
So I might have gotten just like full teleplay credit if that hadn't stayed there, but that was like their big twist that they changed that did piss off a lot of
the readers,
like Cabot readers, but
we talked about that in our podcast. We talked about how we really liked giving the main character role to a woman. We did like that.
Yeah, I mean, that was the point. And it wasn't like, we tried to make it, we didn't want it to be like, so like in your face, we're doing a girl power movie, but we wanted it to sort of just feel like it was natural, that would be the way it ended up. Definitely got a lot of people, writing to me saying, like, you ruined my favorite book of my childhood and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, sorry, like that was Disney's idea, and that's my job. And I'm very sorry, but you still have the book and your imagination. So like, I don't know, I didn't know what else to say. It's funny because now I think it's funny that it's still out there. It's still on. You can still watch it now on Disney Plus, right? So that's pretty fun. I haven't watched it in a long time, but I did win an award for it, which was cool.
We just saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, so, that was good.
A Writers Guild of America award?
Yeah, that's actually, if you tilt up, it's that little that. See that? That's really it. Cool. So keep it out, It's probably I'm not going to win a bunch of stuff for Hallmark Channel movies. It's probably not going to happen. I do have one that's very dramatic, very unlike me, coming out next year. But I don't know when, so I can't. But that if there was ever going to be one that would win anything ever again, it would be this one. But it's still probably not. But that's okay. I'm not in it for that. That's the whole point. Honestly, was my whole goal starting out was to just make a living and be able to do that without having to do something else on the side. That's it. And I have, so
it's super
pretty happy.
I definitely feel that as a writer.
Yeah. And you guys are going to have it. I mean, it's such a different thing now because I think, the industry has changed so much since I started out, and I'm sure it's going to be changing a lot just because of the way technology is advancing. And like, what is our job going to be? Is our job just going to be taking like a ChatGPT script and making it sound like a person wrote it? Or because luckily for us, I don't know if you guys do comedy, but lucky for comedy writers, ChatGPT is not funny yet and doesn't know how to be funny. Because I was doing some experiments to see what would come up if I said write a romantic comedy. I actually told it to write a romantic comedy scene about two people camping where one of the campers has a broken leg. It was just a stupid thing. I just wanted to see like what it would do. And instead of comedy, it would just write like in the internals, it would be like smirking or like laughing. It would just, so the character would smirk or laugh or giggle, but the dialogue was never funny. So that's good.
It's good for
and
us.
It can't think of like, it can't be funny yet. Because I think humor is such a complex thing in our brain that I still don't think AI is going to be able to do.
Yeah.
Super
I hope. Or else I'm retiring. I don't know. Whatever.
True. So with Avalon High, you obviously got that award. Were you also like able to be involved in the production side of things, like going?
Not really. I mean, that's sort of okay, like only because Hallmark's the thing I'm doing now. But like, if I want to go to set for a Hallmark movie, I'm more than welcome to come down there and hang out and be part of it because it's fun to see your stuff come to life and go into production. But then ultimately, after the first day, it's kind of boring because you're not doing anything. Yeah. You're done. Last time, I will say this, I wrote a movie that aired this past Christmas that had the Rockettes in it. It was this big, like giant production for Hallmark, and we shot at Radio City. And then something happened when we were shooting where they really did need like, oh no, this isn't going to work because of whatever reason. We really need to rewrite this scene so that it works for this person. And so I happened to be there and I did it. So that was like a one time where, and I could have done it from home, but I was really happy that I was just there and I could just dash it off and like talk to the actor and talk to the director and stuff. But generally it's just not like, and they shot Avalon High in New Zealand. Yeah. And I could have, wait, you know what? I could have gone. I literally had just had a kid. Like I literally had a baby when, I don't remember time of year, but he was a newborn. Like there was just no way I was going. Like here's, you tell my husband, like, here's the baby and I'm going to go to New Zealand. So, but yeah, that's what
that was really cool. All the New Zealand stuff, we found that really
It was cool. I wish I had gone. I mean, it would have been a good excuse and I could have written it off, but I'll get there eventually.
Yeah. So, do you have any like specific memories from your time working on Avalon High, like ideas with the script or anything like that?
Yeah, because you made some pretty big changes that we love.
Yeah,
but
like, okay, well, give me an example, and then I'll see if I can remember what I did.
Were there any like other possible avenues you were thinking about, or like
characters that you really liked? So we really liked Miles. He's like the main character's best friend. We loved him.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's just sort of, whenever I adapt a book, it's hard to like use real dialogue from the actual book, only because if you were going to really adapt a book start to finish and keep all the dialogue and keep everything that happened, it would be Harry Potter. It would be an 8-hour, the movie would be 8 hours, just like an audiobook is 8 hours long or whatever. Like it doesn't work. So I would generally create sort of the voice of that character and go with that. And so like with Miles, that was just sort of, that was like the guy they cast was perfect for that. I just loved everybody that they cast for these characters. The funniest part, the only thing I thought was like hilariously not like didn't work was the running scenes. Like was like, I don't think she's ever like jogged in her life. And it was just like, there's no way this person's a runner.
Oh my God.
Talked about that. Like, I'm a runner, and I was like, she's striking too hard on her heel.
She was just like, boom, boom, boom. And I'm just
Oh my God, we were laughing so hard. I couldn't.
so I was just like, oh, well, you know what? Nobody, like, I mean, you guys, it's funny now, but like at the time I was just like, no one's going to believe that this is a runner. I mean, for him, yeah, because he's from England and he probably played soccer, but yeah, so like, I know that, I always try and respect the author's work as much as I can. Like, that's to me really important, because it's not like anything was wrong with the book. It just needed to have certain things done to it that made it more Disneyfied, or Disney Channel. And like, I think, I can't remember, but I feel like in the book, it might have been more mature, some of the relationship situations, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it just, and the thing is, when you're adapting a book like that, and everything is internal, like there's so much, somebody's thoughts are all internalized, right? But you can't do that in a movie, and it's cheating if you do voiceover or exposition or like that. It's cheap. It's a cheap way to get that. So that's really the hardest thing, is just getting that information out, without it being. It's so much easier in a book, right? When you can just say what she's thinking, right? But because I don't write, by the way, I am a terrible writer of fiction. Like, I can't write a book. Like, I'll never write a book. I was never good at writing short stories. Like, when I write an outline for a movie, it's still super dialogue heavy, and it's not very and even the stage directions on a script, where no one's reading that except for the crew. It's just not my best part. Like, dialogue is my thing, and the rest of it's not. So like, for you guys, I don't know what kind of writing you do, but there's definitely a difference. And everyone's like, oh, you can write a book. Now, I have a friend named Tracy Andreen who's written as many Hallmark movies as I have, and she also writes YA novels and is fantastic at it. I just don't have that skill.
I struggle with dialogue, so
there you go. So now that might be an intent. If you ever wanted to write for film or TV, then that would be something where you'd want to maybe have a writing partner, because ultimately it's all in the dialogue. Because like this movie I'm rewriting right now, the story idea is fine, but the dialogue was very on the nose and very stilted, and you just couldn't. It didn't seem like a person is speaking. So that's why you have to have that strength. So, I mean, even in books, there's still dialogue, but I think that, I don't know what kind of writing you want to end up doing, but like, some people have writing partners because of that. But I just don't, I'm a lone wolf, not to make a pun on my name, but I like to write by myself. I like to keep my own schedule. I have, you know what I mean? I don't like to have to depend on anybody else's random stuff. But if you're like a good collaborator with people like that, I'm a good collaborator, but I like to get my work done by myself. So, like in my little space here.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So
moving off of Avalon High, kind of what did you do after, and how did that kind of like change, or did it affect like what projects you chose later?
It's sort of, I think I did Avalon High, and then did Phil of the Future, maybe. Oh no, wait. What year was Avalon High? 2010? 20. Yeah. So I think, well, what happened was I had written that, and then I had also written a movie for Lifetime that was just a romantic comedy. And then I ended up on a show called Life with Boys, which is the last sitcom I did. And it was a cute show and everything, but it was kind of a little bit of an oppressive writer's room. It wasn't a lot of fun to be on that show. So after that, I was like, I think I might just be ready to just do these TV movies. And I'm getting to the point where, I had a baby at home, and I just working on series TV back in that time was, writer's room, you're there till you're done. It could be really late hours. It could, now it's a little bit different, I think. But, at that time, I just thought, okay, well, this is a pretty good time to transition. And I had sold 2 feature films, one to Disney and one to Paramount, that were both romantic comedies. One of them is still kicking around. They always keep saying they're going to make it, and then nothing happens. But so that happened. And then so I had all these samples now of romantic comedies, and I kept trying to get into Hallmark, but it's actually kind of hard to get into there and just get in that door and get your first shot there. And so it took a while, and then I finally got in like 2014 or so. And And that just felt right to me. And I really enjoyed writing them. And then that just kind of became a thing. And now I've written like 25 of those. So that's pretty much my gig now. And I'm probably going to do it until they stop hiring me, which I hope doesn't happen. But, it's good. It's a good thing. It's security that I never take for granted, but you don't normally have.
Yeah, for sure.
For you guys, it's changed so much. Like it used to be you'd try to have a long career at one thing, but I just don't think it's like that anymore. I think it's sort of gig to gig kind of a thing. So I'm very lucky to be doing what I'm doing right now. I don't know how it's going to look, but I mean, there's so many opportunities for writers, but then at the same time, the reason we're probably going on strike in a month is that we're kind of getting a little bit screwed on the finance side by like all the streamers and all that kind of stuff. So we're fighting for you guys. So when I go on strike, I'm coming up to Boston and you guys are going to have to buy me like a bagel because I'm going to be like bored and not making money.
Like a lobster roll.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm in Connecticut, so I'm like so that was the thing. I also moved, I left LA. Are you guys planning on like going to New York or LA after college, do you think? Or
probably.
Yeah. So I mean, you definitely want to do that, but it's not as important as it used to be, but it's definitely better to be where everything's happening. But it's less important than it used to be. So don't feel like you can't do it if you don't live there. But I was able to move here because I was we wanted to live in New England and we love it here. And I just, because of the way Hallmark was working out, I never saw them anyway. I literally never went there in person unless I was just for fun, having lunch with everybody. It was always sort of online or on calls. So I'm like, well, I don't need to be here. So it's like 5 years ago we moved out here, but I love it.
Yeah, it's nice up here.
Are you guys from the East Coast?
I'm from upstate New York.
Yeah. Okay, see, so you guys probably hate it, but I love it.
No, I do really
like it.
Yeah. I do wonder if you could speak a little more on like the writer's room dynamic though of those like children's sitcoms.
Maybe well, it's not even about the topic of the show. It's really the showrunner and sort of the vibe that they bring to the writer's room. So when we did Phil of the Future, it was so fun because it was just a really, really good group of writers. And the showrunners were really open to ideas and it was just really collaborative. And I'm still pretty close with them. And we just had a great time. Like the more you're laughing in a writer's room, the better. We had a really, really good time. We had a lot of fun kind of seeing how far we could go, putting sort of adult humor in as a joke. Like there was one script, we did this huge drug reference in an episode that was like, I cannot believe made it. It was all about when they first came to the future and they found tinfoil in a drawer. They were diamonds were worthless. So they were trading diamonds for tinfoil. It's like, do you know how much the street value of this tinfoil is? And like acting like it was cocaine. And we did that and it totally went through. And then there was one where basically like they ate a cookie that had a lot of sugar in it or something. And they were like high or drunk. And then there's a whole episode where they were basically stoned, but we didn't say that.
Wait, so that's so funny. People actually do that. So we're not crazy when we think like, that those references are actually real. Yeah. Oh my God. I mean,
it's just, we see how far we can go because I always thought for me that you're also writing for the parents that are watching with the kids. I don't think I did it in Avalon High as much. It's just in the sitcoms, but that was always the kind of the fun thing. Like Bluey, by the way, which I love that show Bluey it's for kids, for little kids. It's adorable. We watched it because I wanted to know what everybody was talking about because everyone's like, with all my friends that have little kids are like freaking out, obsessed about Bluey the way we were with like, my kid was with like Imagination Movers and Peppa Pig. So I'm watching and I'm like, this show's really funny because it's almost kind of subversive the way it has so much adult humor in it for the parents that the kids would never get. And I love that. That makes me laugh so hard.
That's one thing we've noticed going back and watching all these old TV shows for our podcast is how much humor we missed when we were younger.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, did you ever like watch Grease when you were little and then watch it again when you were adult and like go, oh my God, they were totally talking about like pregnancy and like that whole, and Wella, that whole song was all about just like him saying that he was like having sex with her and her saying, oh my God, it was so romantic. And him basically saying, yeah, like I totally banged this girl on the beach. Yeah. And like, you can't even, and then I finally watched it again when I was an adult. I'm like, oh,
a whole different movie.
Yeah.
we have to wrap up soon because our meeting is kind of close, is gonna expire. But we wanted to let you have the opportunity to plug any of your stuff that you're working on right now.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? I can't even say anything. I have like so much stuff. I'm not allowed to say what they all are.
Anything that just came out. Yeah.
It's all Hallmark. It's all Hallmark. All my stuff that just came out was Christmas. I think I have a couple of fall movies coming out, but
Pia's a big Christmas person.
I'm so happy that like I got to talk to you about the Hallmark stuff.
it's the Rockettes one and the Hanukkah one were last year. I loved both of those dearly. So hopefully this year will be fun too. But yeah, I have like a fall movie that is kind of coming out that's kind of to do with like PTA, like mom stuff. So probably not your jam yet. But yeah, but I mean, I'll put it on my Instagram about like what is coming up. But you guys, did you now once I know we're wrapping up, I have questions for you guys. Well, anyway, well, good luck. If you guys have any, if you need anything, have any questions, let me know.
Yeah, thank you
so much.
You're so welcome. My pleasure. Thanks for helping me procrastinate for half an hour.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for.
All right.
All right. See you around. Bye.
Okay, thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Childhood Trash. You can follow us at Childhood Trash Pod on Instagram. You can follow Pia at Pia La Placa.
And you can follow Maggie at Maggie and Keating.
We'll see you next Thursday.
Bye.